We're going to talk about the last movies I saw for the year 2021. Although I did see two of these movies after 2021, but these are just the most recent 2021 films I've seen. Now, movie review time. Let's talk about Eternals, directed by Chloe Zhao. Chloe Zhao. Chloe Zhao. Zhao or Zhao? Chloe Zhao. Anyways, this takes place after Endgame, of course. It's weird to note that all these take place after Endgame, but it means so much to some of these movies. So, post Endgame, we get a lot of flashbacks to when these beings called the Eternals came to Earth. Because, let me spoil this movie for a little bit. I mean, I've made tweets about it before, about how I liked the movie, but now more I look back on it, I think this movie is bad in so many ways. There's a couple scenes in it that I really liked, that I thought were really powerful. But let me discuss this movie just for a little bit, because there are other movies I want to talk about, much better movies. This is one of my least favorite movies of the year, Eternals. It was boring. All the characters, they seemed like they didn't have an arc. They ended the film the same way they began the film, except for Icarus, whose character arc was, oh no, I was kind of wrong the whole time. Let me go fly into the sun and kill myself. So the thing about Eternals is that there are these machine things that got sent to Earth because they have to kill these things called deviants, which are these stupid looking monsters. And they try to kill everything they can, really. And the reason they have to kill the deviants is because the deviants were created by these big celestial beings called the Celestials. Like Arisham or something was the big red one. He was like, yo, I made you guys to kill the deviants because the deviants got out of control, try to kill all the people on the planet because we need smart things to be alive on a planet so that it can give enough life energy force so that these Celestials can be born from these planets. So they're like, oh shit, that's not good. We have to stop it. And so they stop it. But along the way, it's just really boring. I didn't care for a lot of the characters. I didn't care for the action scenes. Usually when you watch an action scene in a movie and you want to watch it the day after on YouTube, I did not feel that way about this movie. Hell, I don't even want to watch this movie again. It was boring. It was well over 2.5 hours. It was really slow. And there was a lot of flashbacks. And I didn't care for any of the characters, really. Probably the only character, there's a couple characters I cared about, actually. The one that can cook, I forgot his name. His power was like he can punch things really hard. I didn't care about Angelina Jolie's character. There's this character who was a Bollywood star. I thought he was kind of funny. I forgot the other character's name, but his actor I like. He was in The Green Knight earlier in the year. What the fuck's his name? Barry Keoghan. He played this character called Druig. I thought he was cool. He had cool powers, but that's probably it. I don't give a shit about any of the other characters. There's this thing about this deviant that can because they're like, oh my, it's like, so okay, the thing that they stayed on Earth after killing all the deviants because they had to wait for the big red celestial to tell them what to do next or whatever, when they were just basically waiting to fucking be killed by the celestial being born that none of them were gonna know about because Salma Hayek wasn't gonna tell them, who was the lead Eternal. So it's stupid because fucking Salma Hayek figures out that she found these other deviants, right? I don't know if it was her or Icarus who found these deviants, but then she goes, I'm gonna tell the rest of the Eternals that the plan is to get everyone killed. Because the Celestials are gonna be born and everyone on the planet's gonna die. So he kills Salma Hayek's character and then decides to let these deviants roam free which then causes the other Eternals to freak out because, oh my god, there's deviants again. We got to get everyone back together to kill deviants. So let's go find Salma Hayek, and then they find out that she's dead. And the funny thing about it is that when they find her dead early on in the movie, you're supposed to feel sad and you want to cry like the rest of the characters. Or that's what they want you to think, because I didn't feel a goddamn thing. I'm like, I don't even know who this character is, really. And I'm supposed to feel sad about it? Oh, a dead body. Fuck you. So, there are two scenes in this film that I like. I mean, there are some jokes throughout the film that I enjoyed, but there are two scenes I really liked. One, the Eternal that builds things, for humanity to evolve. He has this scene where he's standing in the aftermath of Hiroshima. I don't remember if it was Hiroshima or Nagasaki. But he stands in the aftermath of it, and he's like ashamed of himself because he allowed the humans to do so. He wanted them to evolve and advance technology, when instead they used it to kill people. And he was heartbroken by it. And it's a really powerful scene, really strong, really heartfelt and emotional and heavy. That, and the other scene I really liked was Barry Keoghan's character, Druig. He has the ability to control people's minds and stuff and make them do whatever. So when he realizes that all they do is go to each new civilization and wait for them to kill off other new civilizations so they can go to newer civilizations, he decides, fuck you guys, I'm going to take all these people and run away. I don't remember if they're the Mayans or the Aztecs or whatever, but they did. And I thought that was a really cool scene. Besides that, it's just really boring. I don't remember the score much. The costume design was kind of cool, I guess, but it's really boring. It looks fine. The special effects weren't crazy. It was just a really boring, dull, lifeless film that made me go, wow, that sucked. I guess that's why. At first, I was like, that's not as bad, because the second half of the film is definitely much better than the first half of the film. I can give it that, but it's really stupid. I didn't like this film. I'll probably never watch it again in my life. Maybe once. I don't know. I'm giving Eternals a D+. I don't want to talk about this movie ever again. What I do want to talk about, though, is my favorite film of 2021, The French Dispatch, directed by Wes Anderson. It's a story about this newspaper called The French Dispatch, where was it Kansas, France, or something? Where it was, where it's it's a newspaper article, or it's a newspaper company. They tell stories, and so the film is these multiple stories being told about these big news stories. Really, it starts out with Owen Wilson, explaining the city that they're in. Like, wow, I love Owen Wilson. He's cool. And Wes Anderson. This is my first live action Wes Anderson film I've watched. I've seen both of his stop motion films, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, and I think they're fucking fantastic. And this film, holy shit, I had a stupid grin on my face the whole time. I absolutely fucking loved The French Dispatch. It was funny. It was beautifully filmed. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. The score, my favorite score of the year, I think. Alexander Desplat is fucking incredible. I love him as a composer. And it's really funny, really enjoyable. I like the stories that they told. I didn't like the second main story with Timothy Chalamet's character about like students revolting or something. I don't remember. At like a college or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't invested in it I wasn't as invested in it as I was with the other stories. One about some guy trying to buy a painting from a prisoner and have him make more paintings so they can sell around the world. And the third story about this guy trying to go to this police place and have this nice cooked meal, but then he gets caught up in this story where the police chief's son gets kidnapped, so he has to rescue him back. Overall, The French Dispatch it was fucking so damn enjoyable. I could watch it over and over and over again. It was funny as hell. It looked great. The score was fantastic. The acting is great all around. It's just that second story I wasn't so interested in. I'm going to give The French Dispatch An A. Fuck it. No, A. I can't give it an A plus because I mean it's my favorite film of the year. It's so fucking enjoyable. I fucking loved it. It was great. Then next, I'm really fucking serious about this. Spider-Man No Way Home. This review will have spoilers in it. If you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, do not continue to watch this review because I will be spoiling the hell out of this movie. Okay, let's continue. Spider-Man No Way Home takes place after Endgame, where, well, takes place after Far From Home, where Mysterio reveals Peter Parker's identity, or Spider-Man's identity, that he's Superman. So, the world knows, and they hate him because he killed Mysterio. And J. Jonah Jameson's there, and that was funny as hell. Played by J.K. Simmons. But, Spider-Man can't get into college because he's, Peter Parker, and Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And his friends can't get into college because they know Spider-Man. So he goes to Doctor Strange and says, hey, can you make a spell so that the world forgets that I'm, Spider-Man? But he keeps having Doctor Strange change the spell. Oh, this movie's directed by John Watts, by the way. I like to say who directed the film every time. Just want to make sure it's John Watts. Yep. And I'm going to say that this is the best Spider-Man movie out of the Home trilogy in the MCU. It's the most stylistic, even when it's just people talking and stuff. There's really nice camera angles and really nice camera movements. They do a fucking vertigo effect. Okay, that was fucking. I was like, whoa, did that happen in an MCU film? Really? I was excited about it because it's Peter using his spider sense. So, anyways, Doctor Strange can make people forget that I'm Spider-Man. Then he keeps having to change the spell. Like, these people can't. They need to know that I'm Spider-Man, so or else they'll forget all the memories we ever had. So Doctor Strange's like, wait, you didn't even call MIT? Fuck you, Peter. I'm gonna, you can't use this spell. You botched it up. But it turns out that while the spell happened, a bunch of villains from other universes came into this universe. The ones we see in the beginning is Dr. Octopus from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2, and Green Goblin from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man. So Peter's freaked out. Doctor Strange's like, yo, capture all these people, and we're going to send them back to their world. So, after a fight with Dr. Octopus, he wins using his nanotechnology. And Dr. Octopus is like, wait, you're not my Peter Parker. He's saying, where's my sun machine, Because he thinks that Spider-Man is his Peter Parker. So they're trapped, and then Spider-Man decides, hey, MJ, Ned, come help me, because you guys do such a good job helping me that I'm going to make you guys help me. This is a small issue I had with the film was that although these characters are important to the overall plot of the film, I don't like how super involved they are. Like, why is he going to have them in the film with him for so long? As in, hey, help me. Even though, what the fuck? They're just like searching the internet for, hey, there's stuff happening. They're not like using satellites or anything or whatever. I need MJ and Ned to help me. It was stupid, even though I really like the chemistry they have. But they end up fighting, or Spider-Man ends up fighting Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And he teams up with Sandman to help take him down. And then he traps Sandman. Because, hey, you're not from this universe. I have to trap all these people from these universes. And, he ends up fighting Dr. Octopus. Doctor Strange finds a lizard at first from The Amazing Spider-Man. And then Aunt May finds Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, who is fucking phenomenal in this movie. He did a great job. Willem Dafoe's range is fucking amazing. I don't get how the guy can do it. So, instead of returning them back to the universe, Spider-Man decides to fight Doctor Strange for the box that has the spell in it that will send them back to their universes. He decides to cure them of what's wrong with them because he realizes that they're going to die if they go back to their universe because they all die fighting Spider-Man. Their Spider-Man. So when they're on the verge of it, Green Goblin decides he's gonna go all psycho evil and, you know, turn against everyone. Electro is like, yo, I love this new energy in this place. Fuck you guys. Sandman's like, fuck you guys. I just want to go back and see my daughter. Which is funny because Sandman didn't die fighting Spider-Man. So he shouldn't have had an issue going back. Whatever. And Dr. Octopus, he's cured. He wants to help them, but he loses this battle. And through brutal fighting with Spider-Man and Green Goblin and a bunch of explosions and Lizard being an asshole and stuff, Aunt May ends up getting killed. And Peter's sad. And I like the music in the scene. I love Michael Giacchino as the composer. Happy, he gets arrested, I think. And so Peter's all like, he's depressed, he's sad. And then, all right, now here is the biggest part of the movie right now. I swear to God, spoilers, even though it's been a month since this movie's been out already. So, I'm warning you. All right, I had to let my camera charge for a little bit, but I'm back now. This is when I will talk about the biggest spoilers in Spider-Man No Way Home. So, you have been warned. So, we're at the point where Peter is at his lowest point. His Aunt May is dead. Happy is getting arrested. All the villains are spread out and they want to kill him. So Ned and MJ are by themselves and Ned's all like, man, I wish we could just see Peter. So earlier, Spider-Man defeated Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension by using geometry and math and stuff to web up Doctor Strange and steal the box. And also he took his sling ring. He gave it to Ned. So Ned, and so while he says he wishes he can see Peter, the sling ring is activating a portal. So Ned uses it again, and that's when the entire theater went, oh shit, he's gonna bring in another Spider-Man. So he opens a portal and you see Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in that beautiful The Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. So he comes through the portal and they're like, you're not Spider-Man. He's like, I am Spider-Man, which leads to a lot of hilarious jokes. So then he says, well, come on, we got to bring in my Peter Parker. So while doing it again, we get Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man on the big screen again. The entire theater was so fucking loud. I was so fucking happy to see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was my fucking childhood. It was a huge part of my childhood. I loved watching Spider-Man on VHS and DVD over and over and over again. It is one of my favorite superhero movies. It's one of my favorite movies in general, Spider-Man. I fucking love Spider-Man. It's one of my biggest inspirations. It's a fucking great story. It's still such a fun watch today. Hell, I might even watch it after this. It's that fucking good. I fucking love Spider-Man. And Tobey Maguire, to see him back, it was fucking amazing. After all the rumors that it wouldn't be him and that it wouldn't be Andrew Garfield, but then we'd see Otto Octavius and Green Goblin and all the other villains in the trailers, it was obvious they were going to be there. But to see how they were going to be brought back was fucking awesome. And so they reunite with Peter and go, hey, we let's do it, Don't go down this dark path. So they all team together and they all fight all the villains together and they cure them of whatever's wrong with them. And they cure them all, but Doctor Strange comes back, and because Green Goblin's an asshole and he blew up the box with a spell, Doctor Strange is still trying to contain the spell because although the villains were brought back and the heroes were brought too, it's trying to open a portal to all the other dimensions where everyone knows Spider-Man and Peter Parker in those dimensions, those universes. So he can't stop it, but somehow Peter goes, hey, what if you just make everyone forget that I'm Peter Parker? Somehow that stops the spell. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that stopped that first spell and how that fixes everything. But it does. So he tells MJ and Ned, hey, you're going to forget me. So I'm going to go, find you after. I'm tell you everything that's ever happened. But then he realizes that it's hurt them, So he tries to tell MJ that, you know, hey, it's me. We have all this time we spent together, but he sees that she has a scar, and it's kind of a stupid small scar. I expected something a lot bigger and harsher, but oh, I've hurt them, so I'm gonna leave them be. They live their lives. I'm gonna live my own life, and that right there made this the best Spider-Man movie in this MCU trilogy. The stakes are higher. Death happens. Peter is at his lowest point, and it's the best filmed. The score wasn't super memorable. I still remember a lot of the score pieces from Homecoming, but there were some great pieces, and of course the original Homecoming theme, the Spider-Man theme for the MCU, is great. It's reintroduced here. You hear some of the Danny Elfman score from the Raimi trilogy, and you hear some of the music from the Mark Webb 2 movies. And Spider-Man lives on his own, goes to college, or he's gonna go to college hopefully, and he's gonna, be Spider-Man. He has to rebuild his life, and I thought this was a great movie. It's one of the better MCU films, I believe. It was really fun. I love the action. I love how drastically different it is. It's like John Watts understood the criticisms of how boring the other films looked, not in terms of the Spider-Man action, but in terms of regular human interaction, those scenes, because it looks so much better, and it's the most stylistic of the Spider-Man trilogy so far, and it's I just had a blast with this movie. Andrew Garfield was such a treat to see as Spider-Man. He's so charismatic. He's so fun and enjoyable. It was fucking awesome to see Toby again, But Tom Holland, he did a great job as Peter Parker and Spider-Man in this movie. I think he did a really good job. It's the best he's been in all of these movies, and he really shows it. So that's kind of all I have to say about this movie. It was really fucking enjoyable. I loved it. It was everything I wanted and everything I didn't know I wanted. I loved it. I'm gonna give Spider-Man No Way Home an A-. All right, now let's talk about a movie that I'm pretty sure no one's ever heard of, but my uncle watched it and he told me about it. On Christmas Eve, we went over to my uncle's house and he said, "Hey, have you guys seen this movie called Old Henry? Watch it on Prime." So me and my dad went home a couple days later and watched it on Prime. It is directed by Patsy Pansaroli. Patsy Pansaroli. It's about a man who lives by himself on a farm with his son, and they notice that there's a horse by itself and there's some blood on it. So Henry then travels to find who it belongs to. He sees this man bloodied up. He takes him back to the house, and he realizes that this man has a satchel or a bag with a lot of money and a gun in it. The man wakes up, tries to attack the son. The son's like an old teenager, like he's like 17, 18, 16. And Henry comes back. He's pissed off at the boy because they're at odds. He wants to go live out his life and see the world. Henry just wants to be isolated and live alone. And he realizes that he's not an old man. This man is being hunted down by these other people, these other bank robbers, and he has to figure out whether or not he's telling the truth, if he's setting them up, or how much trouble he's gonna bring. And it's a slow movie. Fuck, I dropped my phone. It's a slow movie. It's not bad at all. I really like this movie. It was really cool action. It's an old western. It's not an old western. It is a western, but I really enjoyed it. It had cool action in it. It looks great. I thought the music was kind of cool at points. It's just that it's a little slow. It kind of has to be. I thought the beginning was very slow though. When we get introduced to Henry and all these other characters. It just at first just seemed like a lot of stock footage for setting up where the characters are gonna be. But Overall, I did enjoy it. There's not so much to say on it. There are some cool twists throughout the movie that I saw coming, but it's not like, oh, that's so obvious. Like, oh, that's a neat little thing I saw. It's some good writing in there. There are some cool twists in here, like I said, and I recommend checking it out. You can watch it on Prime. You can rent it for a couple dollars or so. It's one of the more unique films I've seen this year. It's not mind blowing. It's just it's a nice watch. It's nice to watch. The acting's good in it. Uh, that's all I can really say about it. I'm gonna give Old Henry B. That's really it. All I can say. It's a good movie. Now we're gonna move on to a film that I did not expect it to turn out this way. Encanto. Let's look up the directors of it. I know the directors are the people behind Zootopia and Tangled, I believe. So it's two directors. It is Byron Howard and Jared Bush. Now, this film has a lot of recognition to it too because it's Lin Manuel Miranda who wrote the songs for the film. This is a Disney film, so musical. It's about this family who lives at this house in Colombia, and each of them get like a magic gift at a certain age, and they open a door and it reveals a room to them that encapsulates their gift that they have. So we follow our main character Maribel. I think her name is Maribel. It's been a while since I've seen it, a couple weeks at least, but it's not like it's forgettable. Mirabel, her name is Mirabel. It's not that it's forgettable. It's just that it's just been a while since I've seen it. But I did enjoy it. At first, I didn't think I was gonna like it. My parents just had it on with my siblings. I was like, I'll watch it. I liked it. Doesn't mean I didn't like certain parts, so we'll get to that. Mirabel doesn't have a gift. Her door closed on her when she was going to open it. So she's kind of shunned by the rest of her family. Not the rest of her family, but more so her grandma, the abuela, because she doesn't have a gift like the rest of them. But one night she sees a vision of the house breaking, the casita. The house is breaking, and the candle that they have, which is important later on, or it's important throughout the film. It kind of signifies like the life of the house and everyone's magic. It's going out, but it's just a vision, and everyone her grandma is like, "The fuck, what are you doing?" So she has to go on this journey. And based on the trailers, I thought it'd be more of like a journey because it seemed that the house broke and that she has to go on this journey to figure out what happened to the magic. But it's more so it's a smaller journey. It's a more personal journey that she has to figure out why she saw that vision, what's happening to the magic, and how can they avoid that from happening. And I'll say this, pacing is really important in film, especially in musicals, because you stop the movie to sing a song, and the song has to do something for the overall plot, I believe. Has to be a character's expression. It could be the introduction of a character expressing what happened to them, why they're there in that situation, what they want to do. And a lot of the songs in here, they do explain stuff, but it's either they're not catchy to me or they're catchy to everyone else. And I just wasn't interested in most of them. There's the pressure song with the Luisa character. She's this big, strong girl who, she can lift a bunch of things and she can break things and she's like indestructible. But her powers are kind of dimming away after a little bit because she feels so much pressure on her, which it is a good thing to be able to express that. The pressure of family and not disappointing anyone. But it's just that it happens all of a sudden. You don't feel this pressure building up from beforehand. It's just that it just happens all of a sudden. So I didn't find it believable. I didn't find the song to be powerful. It could have been if the situation was presented in a much more clear sense and there was build up to it, but there wasn't. It just happened all of a sudden and I didn't believe it. And I don't even like the song. I'm not saying there's like I'm not trying to say I think the songs are bad. I just personally don't like them. And the one that everyone's so up in arms about is We Don't Talk About Bruno. Bruno is one of the characters in the film who left the house because of certain reasons. He was able to see visions into the future, and he kind of, told everyone bad visions, and they all kind of shunned him for it. So he left. That's a part of it, at least. I don't want to get too much into it. Let's see. There's a song that Mirabel sings in near the beginning of the film before the first act goes into the second act that I really liked. I don't really remember it, but I just remember liking it. There's a song in there called Dos Oruguitas. That's my favorite scene in the film. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I won't say it, but it's a flashback scene that I found to be really powerful. I want to get back to pacing though, because I felt that when the third act happened, that felt more so like the second act. It felt more so like there was going to be more happening later on, but it didn't. It was the third act, and then the third act concluded, and then the film was over. I wanted more. I felt like there could have been more. And it's just, the film just went on for a long time. It felt the beginning was slow. The second act was really slow. And the third act just happened. And that kind of bogs the film down for me a little. And I do sound negative about this movie, but I don't think it's bad. I liked it. It's just that there's certain things I didn't like about it. More so the pacing, the storytelling at certain parts, the way characters express themselves. Because all these characters are unique, and I like all these. I like the characters. It's just that the theme of family pressure from your elders and stuff, as good of a message and idea that is, it didn't seem to be expressed in a as good as it could have been. It just happened to be brought up. You feel it with Mirabel, but not with the other characters as much as it could have been. So I like the movie. I'm not in love with it, but I really like certain aspects of it, and I'm pretty sure this is beating a dead horse. The film looks fucking phenomenal. Disney is just they knock it out of the park with how these films look. To me, not so much with Luca and Turning Red. I know those are Pixar films, but they're gonna have extremely different art styles than what they usually do. But they look good in their own rights so far. But this movie looks fucking beautiful. The colors are so vibrant. There's so much detail. And it's a gripe I have with certain animated films where they, look at all the hair particles you can see on them. Sometimes it's not impressive, but with this film it is. The way it flows and how it reacts to certain things, wind, them running, how curly it looks, and how defined and definitive and detailed it looks. It looks fucking great. But that's really all I'm gonna say about Encanto. It's an enjoyable film. I definitely want to watch it again. Because maybe I might like it more the second time. But I think it's a great family film. I'm not trying to say that as to demean the film. I'm saying that it's good for an entire family to sit down and watch it. I'm pretty sure, and a lot of people like it so far. I liked it. I didn't think I was gonna like it based on trailers promotion, but overall, I do like it. I'm going to give Encanto a B. And now we're gonna talk about the last film that I've seen for 2021, even though I saw it this year, but I'm not sure what other films I'm gonna see for 2021. It's just nice to cap it off. Nightmare Alley, directed by Guillermo del Toro. Now, I've seen Pan's Labyrinth, and that's pretty much it. But I know this is a talented director and a great storyteller. This is a a remake of a film, Nightmare Alley, from I think the 50s or the 30s. It's a remake of a really older film, but it's so damn unique. I think the film looks great. I love the color palette. It's like a post World War II story, and it's about Bradley Cooper's character. I don't remember any of the characters' names really, but Bradley Cooper's character, he exits the train. He has this weird, mysterious past of a body burning in a house. You don't know who it is at first, but he leaves and he wants to join this circus to learn acts of magic, more so like tarot readings and card stuffs, and identifying what's in someone's bag based off of verbal cues, because he's interested in lying to people like that, and money. Circuses make money and stuff. But the way the film is told, there's two halves to the film. There's the first half, which is one story, and the second half, which is a completely different story, but relies on the first story. And I went to see this with my friend Sebastian, like my best friend from high school. And we both kind of thought the same thing. The second story wasn't as interesting as the first story, and it felt like a completely different movie. And we both liked the first half a lot better. Although the second story does have its merits, it's just really slow and not as interesting as the first half. And it picks up the storyline where Bradley Cooper's character he's talking to a dead lady. He's talking to a dead lady to trick this guy to keep giving him more money. And it's a lot of rambling back and forth. Hey, are you gonna show me my dead wife? What's my dead wife gonna tell me? Yada yada. And I understand what the second half of the story is to do. It's to show the progression, the downward spiral about this character. How far he's gone down, how twisted he's become, how he's lying and manipulating people. That he's a bad guy. And he wants to put on a good show for people, but he's taking it way too far, and he's not listening to what he was told before in the first story about how this magic can hurt people, how you don't want to do it. You don't want to put on a spook show, as they call it. I don't want to get too much into more details about the story. I will talk about the filmmaking aspect. I thought the score was great. I don't know who did the score. Let me look it up real quick. I thought the film, before I get to that, I thought the film looked great. I love the color palette, like I said before. Guillermo del Toro knows how to move the camera around. The composer. Shit, I can't find it. It's kind of bullshit. Oh, Nathan Johnson. I don't know what he's done before, but he did a great job. I want to see a best score nomination from this film. Like usually with a lot of movies, I don't remember it, but I just remember how effective it was during the scenes. Even my friend told me, yeah, I thought the score was really great. I want to see a best score nomination from it. I like the costume design a lot. It's a technically very well made film. It's just that the storytelling is a little off, more so in the second half, that made me to think it's. I mean, it's a really long movie. It's a 2.5 hour film, I believe, and you really feel it with that second half, especially with how not interesting it is, because of that other storyline being brought up. Although it is integral to that character's arc, it's just that it's not as interesting, and it's just a tad too slow. But there are aspects of the film that overshadow that to an extent. It looks great, the score is great, the acting's good all around. Everyone does a great performance. But it's just that second half is just a tad too long and just a tad too uninteresting, even though it is integral to the character's arc. But I don't regret buying a ticket. It's just, it was such a unique film. It was made very well. And I said this I say this about certain films. I can't imagine another director helming the film. like Ridley Scott for Alien, Steven Spielberg for Jurassic Park, Robert Zemeckis for Back to the Future. I can't imagine another director helming that film and it being better. So like I can't imagine another director aside from Guillermo to do this film because it made in such a unique way, and it is a strange story, but overall I did enjoy it. I did like Nightmare Alley. I do want to watch it again, but that second half is it's just a tad too much. I'm going to give Nightmare Alley a B minus. My friend, he did enjoy it as well. We basically had the same thoughts. It's a really good, interesting first half. The second half just makes the film feel really long, even though it is integral to the character's arc. And the ending is a little surprising. There are certain things we both wanted to see because it is certain things they do say, especially in the first half, setting this character up. We did want to see certain payoffs, but we didn't. So it's whatever. But overall, it's a unique film. I'm glad I gave it money. It just sucks that it's probably not going to make its money back. But what are you going to do? You know, B minus.